Cook. The new moon is in Gemini today, and it's planting seeds for a moon cycle ahead for all of us that will be much more intense, profound, disruptive, revelatory than we can know or feel just yet. And even though the new moon by itself today is not super dynamic, there's not so much happening in the chart, in the sky, in the reflective mirror of the cosmic clock that we're living in, there are the deeper layers and threads and interwoven patterns that signal something much greater at work here. And I kind of want to explore that with you, maybe briefly. Oh my God, I dare not say that word because I love the complexity and I really dislike oversimplification of astrology. That's not my thing, in case you noticed. Yet I'll still try to keep it Gemini witty short so that hopefully it won't take too much time from your deserved rest that a new moon should provide. Anyhow, there's 3 layers. First of all, the new moon is in Gemini, where Uranus is now also present. Uranus is now fully in Gemini, and so it's the first time we have a new moon cycle, like that monthly sine wave pattern that really shows us where and how the greater collective and cosmic and collective and conscious energies are being grounded into and interwoven in the pattern of life that only really happens in and through the moon cycle, right? The moon is activating. There's this esoteric understanding that we're living in the sublunar sphere. So Uranus is there. The second point is this new moon is ruled by Mercury, who is already in his shadow period, which means it already reached the degrees where later on in this month still, it will begin its retrograde. So Mercury is in shadow, preparing to go retrograde. We might already start to feel these mercurial hiccups or words stumbling through our mouth or emails being lost or trains delayed or whatever. But Mercury is also in Cancer, which brings a very different tone and quality to the normally super fast-moving and cerebral and mentally activating and stimulating Gemini energy, because Cancer is soft, sweet, caring, slow, internal, right? It's this inner poetic, emotional wave that Cancer wants to ride, not the fast, cerebral, out there energy. And then lastly, the activations that this coming cycle will bring, or that will happen during this cycle of this moon cycle that is just beginning now, right? From this new moon to next new moon, which will happen in Cancer by mid-July. We've got that Mercury retrograde coming up, like I said. Also, Jupiter will move into Leo out of Cancer. Jupiter takes 12 years, so he's roughly in a sign for 1 year. So that's quite a big thing. And once it does so, Jupiter in early Leo will be exactly opposite Pluto in early Aquarius. And in that way, really activating and pulling down these much bigger collective manifestations and waves of collective processes that we're living through right now, and that up until now, in the first half of this year, I kind of hate to say it, have been not as strong as the second part of the year will be. So Jupiter opposite Pluto will definitely bring a lot of these big collective questions and themes and struggles really into manifestation. Leo is also the sign of kings or monarchy or rulers, right? And Aquarius is the people, but Aquarius is also elites and the arrogance of elites or groupthink and peer pressure and technology and AI and blah, blah, blah. So like, you see there's like a million manifestations that this can bring. And also in this moon cycle, still staying with that third point, is Uranus being met by Mars. Mars will move into Gemini right around the time of the coming full moon in 2 weeks. And then by early July, 3rd of July, Mars will be exactly together with Uranus. And just like that Jupiter-Pluto opposition, Mars-Uranus also shows Uranian force, Uranian electrical charge, disruptive, earthquakey kind of tectonic plate shifting quality that Uranus is now in Gemini, bringing these Gemini themes that we'll explore in a second. Mars really activating that. And that will also happen within this coming moon cycle, within the coming 4.5 weeks or whatever, 30 days. So it's a really potent cycle ahead. But yeah, let's unpack it one by one. And maybe first of all, if you are not subscribed to the channel, I would so appreciate if you can give a little subscribe or like or comment to the video. If you're watching here on YouTube, that would mean so much to me. And also, as always, I'm available for one-on-one sessions. So if you want to explore where and how the cycles are activating or mirroring and reflecting deeper archetypal themes happening in your own life, in your own mind, in your own outer reality, I'm always available for those. So find the link below, and I'm super looking forward to meeting you there. So one by one, the new moon is together with Uranus. It's in the late degrees of Gemini, 23 degrees, but Uranus is in the first degrees, so there's not the direct activation, but still, it's the first new moon that really brings Uranian force into the sign of Gemini, fully grounded into our sublunar sphere, like I just said, into our human experience. And we explored Uranus and Gemini already in a few other videos, but right, there is this disruptive electrical charge that wants to awaken and liberate and free ourselves. And in the sign of Gemini, now together with the new moon in Gemini, planting seeds, planting intentions, making visions of where and how you want to change your mind, and where and how also this new moon cycle that is now beginning will hopefully help you learn to see things from a very different perspective. One of the ways that Gemini does that is by mimicry. Kukuk, 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 the bird that mimics other birds, right? We need the mimicking of other perspectives in order also to internalize something. We need the mirror of another sometimes to really see and understand where we stand or what kind of position we have. So there's both the merging but also the separating quality very strong in Gemini. The dangers, of course, once we attack the mirror, because the mirror is just whatever the mirror might be. I am left, you're right, I'm blue, you're red, blah, 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 blah. All the dichotomies that we can fall into. As long as we don't understand that, as long as we play the game of duality and identify with one side, we automatically have to attract and unconsciously create or pull into our experience, whatever terminology you want to use, the other side of the dichotomy, because reality is whole, reality is one, reality is infinitely complex, it's an infinitely interwoven pattern of creation. There is no true separation. But the moment we identify with one side of the coin, one side of the mirror, one side of the cosmic twins, and to try to cut the other one off, we set ourselves up to attracting experiences that will confront our limited perspectives, that will confront our limited viewpoint of ourselves, of reality, of how we view whatever kind of topic, relationships, environment, politics, blah, blah, blah. And in general, blah, 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 right? This is Gemini's function. It's through words and communication that we learn to also articulate and find clarity, find true mental clarity. Very often only comes through our articulation of it. Whether that's us writing our little journal, or us needing to talk with a friend or a counselor, or in the workplace, right? It's very often only through our articulation into words that our own mental thought process, and thus also our perspectives that we hold, conscious and unconscious perspectives that we hold, really can become clear. Now, Uranus is disrupting this entire process in many ways, and at the same time supercharging it, right? Uranus is this like pure electric thunderbolt energy. So it brings disruption. It says this pattern, how you have done this, how all of us as humanity have done this, is not working anymore. Something needs to change. And so this Uranian high electricity, if we want to stay with that image, is very often creating shortcuts, short circuits, right? Where there can be quicker ways to achieving that same insight or that same liberating perspective or liberating insight that gets us out of duality thinking, out of dichotomies. But that short circuit can also be disruptive or upsetting or confronting, right? It's not the usual way how we used to do things. Still, this is a new cycle beginning also somewhere in your chart, wherever you have Gemini in your chart. And even if you don't have any planets in Gemini, Gemini is in one house of your chart, right? It rules one area of your life. there is something very new beginning here that probably wants to liberate you long term. Even at first it might just seem shocking or confronting, or like it's pulling your life upside down. But there's always the question with Uranus, isn't your life maybe looking better upside down? Right? But now we bring in the second point, and that is Mercury in Cancer, about to go retrograde, that just brings in this much deeper emotional undercurrent to all of these processes. And like I talked about in my previous video, on YouTube here at least, with this long time of Mercury in Cancer, more than 2 months, right, including this retrograde, one thing that can come up is a lot of emotional defensiveness, where and how our thoughts have been so unconscious and just been enmeshed with our emotional patterns that only through the mirror and confrontation of Gemini, another, and us maybe also unconsciously lashing out, the quick, snappy defensiveness, the moody defensiveness of Cancer energy, the snapping out, that we can see like, oh, wow, there's something apparently triggered me, something activated me, something hurt, something doesn't feel safe, right? These are Cancer energies. Mercury ruling this Gemini new moon, and thus also this entire new moon cycle, not just in Cancer, but also about to go retrograde, where it's so much about memory and rewriting, rethinking, reconsidering, remembering, right? Retelling ourselves the emotional stories that have created certain belief systems or certain ways that our minds operate, right? So that we can write new stories, so that we can be liberated of old stories of our life, or of our ancestors that we don't want to need to live through anymore. But as long as they stay unconscious, we are bound to fall into them, right? Whatever you doesn't make conscious will rule your life, and you'll call it fate, like Carl Jung said. And only by making conscious, and that is often by going within, can we learn to see what kind of emotional patterns, and thus also mental patterns, have been governing my life, maybe stemming back generations, and what kind of stories can I write anew now, in a different way, in a way that liberates more, in a way that gets me out of polarity and the dichotomy and the black and white entrapment that reality can bring. And then the third point, and there's so much more with this Mercury rulership in Cancer, dreams, intuition, more tired, more withdrawn energy probably as well here, also in the coming months, right? In the coming weeks, even months, because it lasts so long. And then the third point, well, of course, we're going towards the solstice, the June solstice, which for us here in the Northern Hemisphere is summer solstice, thus going fully into Cancer territory, but then also Mercury going retrograde, Jupiter going into Leo, activating Pluto, and then also just after the full moon in early July, Uranus being activated by Mars. So this Uranian potential, this Uranian disruptive quality that can very much feel like earthquakes or like lightning strikes, really being pulled down into matter. So this new moon is thus so much about also learning to see that probably within this new moon cycle, within this whole next 4 weeks, we will start to see things very, very differently. And the key Gemini thing is curiosity, openness, and agility, adaptability, going with the wind. Mercury is, and Gemini is mutable air, right? It's the air that dances. It's the little wind in the corner, goes like this and goes like this and goes like this. There is no attachment to any kind of viewpoint, to any kind of solidity. And if there's any medicine I think the skies are reflecting for us this month, this is it. Stay flexible, stay open, stay adaptable to your views shifting, to your emotions rearranging, to your entire life maybe becoming turned upside down, and just trust this flow, trust this change, even if it will bring up these more emotional defensive patterns of Cancer that hold on so much. With Cancer, we have the strongest attachment emotionally to a sense of safety. But yeah, if anything, this new moon says, trust. Trust the shifting air. Trust the shifting wind and the wind of change. That this new cycle, that this coming month will surely bring in many, many ways for us. And don't get too attached to any one viewpoint. So that's my short, not so short Gemini New Moon little tiny download. I hope that gave you something. And yeah, wishing you a good one.